Attention passionate Philadelphia, EAGLES. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Philadelphia Eagles' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Philadelphia Eagles fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Philadelphia, EAGLESFANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the NFL landscape lately, you know that the Philadelphia Eagles are once again making headlines, but not necessarily for reasons they'd hoped. It's a bit of a complex situation that's unfolding right now, especially when you look at the offensive struggles and the intriguing developments involving their star receiver, A.J. Brown. You see, the Eagles are 4-0, and on the surface, that sounds fantastic, right? They've managed to keep their perfect record intact, but beneath that shiny surface, there are some cracks starting to show. And those cracks could have long-term implications, especially when it comes to how this team is shaping its offensive identity, and more specifically, how A.J. Brown's legacy might be affected if things don't turn around soon. So, let's dive into what's really going on. The Eagles, as many of you know, have been playing some pretty ugly offensive football this season. When I say ugly, I mean that the game logs are littered with 3-and-outs, and if you've watched their games, you've probably noticed a lack of explosiveness. They're not the dynamic downfield threat they were last season, and their passing game has struggled to find its rhythm. For a team that boasts one of the most talented rosters in the league, that's a head-scratcher. But the reality is, they're winning despite some of these offensive limitations, and that's a testament to their stout defense, special teams, and the overall grit that this team has shown. However, the concerns are mounting, and the key issue that's grabbing headlines now is what's happening with A.J. Brown. After the Eagles' Week 4 game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Brown took to social media, posting a cryptic message that sent shockwaves through the fanbase and the NFL community alike. Now, if you've been following this team, you know A.J. Brown is not just any wide receiver. He's a top-tier talent, one of the most explosive and consistent receivers in the league, and a guy who's been expected to be a central piece of this offense for years to come. But what's happening now? Well, he posted a tweet that simply said, "We are so back," alongside a photo, and that came right after a game where he was held to just one reception for only 8 yards. That's right, just one catch for 8 yards in Week 4. And that's where the story gets interesting. You see, this isn't just about one game or one bad performance. It's about the bigger picture. A.J. Brown, throughout the first 4 weeks, has amassed only 151 total yards, with a staggering 109 of those yards coming from a single game, Week 3. Outside of that explosion, he's been largely held in check, almost like the defenses are focusing on taking him out of the game. And that's a problem because, for a receiver of his caliber, being neutralized like that can have long-term consequences, not just for how the team perceives him but for his legacy as well. Now, let's be clear here. Brown's talent is undeniable. Throughout the 2020s, he's been one of the most efficient and dominant receivers in the NFL. His per route efficiency numbers are top-notch, and his multiple 400-yard seasons speak volumes about his ability to produce at a high level. When you watch him play, it's obvious that he's a game-changer, a player who can take over a game if used correctly. But the fact that the Eagles' offense isn't getting him involved like they should be is a concern. It's not just about the current record. It's about what this means for Brown's future and how he'll be remembered in the league. Because, at the end of the day, receivers are often remembered more for their statistical output and their impact on the game than for being good teammates or part of a winning culture. Think about Jerry Rice. It's the 14 0-yard seasons and nearly 23 0 career yards that define him, not just the 3 Super Bowl rings. For Brown, if this trend continues, his elite talent might be wasted in an offense that's playing not to lose rather than playing to win, and that's a dangerous path for his legacy. It's fair to wonder how much Brown cares about that legacy, but what's clear is that the Eagles' offensive scheme right now isn't allowing him to showcase his true potential. Now, why is this happening? It's a question many fans are asking. The Eagles have a lot of talent across the board, and yet they seem to be operating in a way that's more conservative, more cautious, and perhaps more focused on avoiding mistakes rather than pushing the envelope. The offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, who's now coaching the Indianapolis Colts, is a former Eagles assistant, and his departure might have left a void in offensive creativity. This season, the Eagles are playing a style that's more about controlled possessions and minimizing turnovers, but that's coming at the cost of big plays downfield, and more critically, involving their most explosive weapon, A.J. Brown. And let's not forget, the division rivals in the NFC East are watching this very closely. The Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants are looking for any signs of weakness, and if the Eagles continue to struggle to get their star receiver involved, it could start to affect their playoff seeding and overall confidence. The NFC East has always been a competitive division, and last season's surprise performances by teams like the Cowboys and Giants have set the stage for an even more intense battle this year. The Eagles, despite their perfect record, aren't immune to these internal issues, and they need to address this sooner rather than later. Now, back to A.J. Brown. His situation is complicated. On one hand, he's a fierce competitor, a guy who wants to be the best and leave a lasting mark. On the other hand, he's been dealing with a scheme that's not fully utilizing his talents. The fact that he's been somewhat frustrated, as indicated by his social media posts, shows that the internal chemistry might be strained, or at least that he's feeling a bit underappreciated. For a player of Brown's caliber, that's a dangerous position to be in, especially if he's considering his long-term future in Philadelphia. What's next? Well, the Eagles have a lot of moving parts to consider. They need to find ways to get Brown more involved, to unlock the explosive plays that made him a household name. That could mean adjusting their offensive scheme, giving him more opportunities in one-on-one matchups, or simply being more aggressive downfield. The coaching staff has to recognize that their best players need to be their most involved players, and if they don't, they risk not only losing games, but also losing their star players' trust and commitment. This situation is a perfect example of how the NFL is a league of adjustments. Teams that can adapt quickly, that know how to maximize their talents, tend to have the most success in the postseason. The Eagles have the talent, no doubt about it, but they need to show that they can put their best players in position to succeed. If they don't, they might find themselves in a situation where their record doesn't fully reflect the talent on the roster, and that could have repercussions come playoff time. And let's talk about the bigger picture. The NFC East is shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable divisions in recent memory. The Cowboys, with their stout defense and emerging offense, are looking to make a statement, while the Giants are trying to build on last year's surprising run. The Eagles, despite their perfect start, are facing internal questions that could either galvanize them or cause cracks to appear. If Philadelphia can address their offensive inconsistencies and find a way to get A.J. Brown involved more consistently, they could solidify their position as a Super Bowl contender. But if not, the division could tighten up even more, and their journey to repeat as NFC champions might get a lot tougher. In terms of individual performances, Brown's numbers are a concern this season. He's not the same dominant force we saw in 2021 and 2022, and that's largely due to how defenses are scheming against him and how the offense is constructed. His yards per catch are lower, and his target volume has dipped at crucial moments. This isn't just about one player, it's about the entire offensive philosophy that's currently limiting his impact. If the Eagles want to truly compete at the highest level, they need to find ways to unleash Brown's full potential, because he's a game changer when used correctly. Looking ahead, the next few weeks are critical. The Eagles will face tougher opponents, and their ability to adapt offensively will be tested. Will they find new ways to get Brown the ball? Will they prioritize explosive plays over conservative drives? These are questions that every Eagles fan should be thinking about as the season progresses. And the coaching staff has a big responsibility now to make adjustments, to ensure that their star receiver, who can be one of the best in the league, is fully utilized. The NFL is a league of moments, and sometimes it's the small adjustments that define a team's season and legacy. And now, Philadelphia Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this situation with A.J. Brown? Do you think the offense will figure it out and start creating more opportunities for him? Or are we heading into a season where internal frustrations could cause bigger issues? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Eagles. Remember, this season is still very much a work in progress, and the potential for greatness is still there. The Eagles have the talent, the coaching staff, and the fan support to turn things around. It's about making the right adjustments and pushing through the adversity. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, analysis, and everything you need to stay ahead of the game. So stay tuned, keep supporting the Eagles, and let's see how this story unfolds. Thanks for riding along with me, and as always, stay passionate, stay loud, and fly, Eagles, fly.